I now will open the City of Portage Planning Commission meeting for Monday, August 7th. If we would stand and say the pledge. Mr. Monroe, could you call roll?
Tom Cherry,
Here.
Gina Geis-Hurst, Sam LeBoy, John Harrison,
Here.
Charles Thompson,
Here.
Melissa Weidenbach,
Here.
Kevin Witherspoon, Denise Little.
Here. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes? If there are no corrections or additions, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any old business? Nope. Reports of officers and committees.
I do not have a report at this time.
Okay. Could you call our first order of old business?
First item under old business is P0222 MPGA LLC, care of Kevin Koros, McMahon Associates, Inc., 4501 Airport Drive, Unit 101, Valparaiso, Indiana, seeking primary plat approval for Northwood Trail subdivision 34.8 acres at the 6,500 block of Old Porter Road.
Good evening. My name is Bill Ferngren. Here again this evening. We were here about a month ago at your last Planning Commission. Jason Gilliana is the principal of the development company. Our engineer could not be here tonight. His mother unfortunately passed away, and so he had to miss tonight's meeting. But at the last meeting, we heard a lot of dialogue from concerned citizens. We did not hear a whole lot of discussion with the Plan Commission. But since that meeting, we did meet with various staff members here at City Hall to discuss the project and begin to address those concerns, one of which is provision of a sketch plat. That's in the process. Another item was potential buffering around the site. And then finally, the other main item was the construction of Old Porter Road and how that's going to be handled. And I'll take those in reverse order, if you will. Old Porter Road will require improvements to be made to that road. And if you recall at your last meeting, that matter was essentially moved to be addressed before your Board of Public Works and Safety. We talked about that with staff in the meantime, and I've submitted a request to be on the Board of Works agenda to have an initial discussion about that road. Really two parts of that. One, what ultimately would be the construction, and we're working with your engineer about that. And then two, what Mr. Monroe has brought to our attention, and we agree with, his construction sequencing, if you will, to make sure that there's as little impact on that road during construction as possible. Felt it was important to include the Board of Works because ultimately it will be that body's road in the end of the day. So we have submitted a request to be on the agenda tomorrow morning at 10:30 in the morning for that initial discussion, and that's our plan at that point in time. Secondly is the discussion about buffering and how does that work with this particular project. Looking at the subdivision control ordinance, the design of the site, the subdivision proposed before you tonight does comply with your subdivision control ordinance. The lots are all of requisite size. They exceed those lot dimensions. In all respects, complies with the rules identifying what is required for a subdivision. Nevertheless, we did meet with staff to discuss how does this impact the neighbors and possibility of buffering. We looked at that, and from a planning standpoint, what is being requested is buffering residential property to residential property. From a planning perspective, doesn't make the most sense because it's really backyards butting up against backyards. The areas where we're required to buffer, and we think it makes complete sense, would be to the north because there is, if you recall, a small commercial parcel that your ordinance identifies and dictates that buffering is required. That's absolutely required, and that's something that we're totally in agreement that we'll do at the appropriate time when that site would be developed. But planning to include a buffering between properties and simply create a strip of land that no one would be able to use and then would interfere with the owners of these particular homes' ability to use their backyards going forward by relocating utility infrastructure into the center of the yard, away from the perimeter of the yard, just goes against common planning practice. And then finally, the sketch plat is something we're in the works of preparing. One of the items implicated with that is, if you recall, at the last meeting, we did not show an extension of Candy Avenue. Your thoroughfare plan contemplates the extension of Candy Avenue, and the original plan called for that. During discussions, we removed that at the request of others and thinking that perhaps this would address some of the preservation and buffering. But as it turns out, we're not really sure what to do with that road. As I indicated, it was engineered to be there, taken out, and we are looking for direction from the Plan Commission on that issue as well as to what do you foresee with the extension of Candy Avenue. And so those are really the items that we left here with after the last meeting, the principal items. Again, going to the Board of Works tomorrow morning to discuss Old Porter Road, and we'd be happy to hear input from the Plan Commission about how you foresee Candy Avenue and these other particular items that I mentioned earlier and answer any questions you might have.
Okay. So at this point, you are not ready to ask for approval?
No, we're not. We're looking to get some guidance from you about what those items include.
Okay. Since they are not asking for approval this evening, I am not going to open the public hearing tonight. But when we come back, when they are asking for approval and we have all the information we need, that we will seriously consider reopening the public hearing so that we can have everything there. I do have the letters and the pictures and the notes, so we have all received a copy of that. But now I'd like to open for questions from the commission about the items that we are missing.
How far along are you with the sketch?
Pardon me?
With the sketch,
That's in preliminary stages, so we can determine what's going to happen with Candy Avenue. And if you recall, there was a fairly large area up there where Candy Avenue would have been. So that's in process. And I would expect, do you think 30 days? Yes. Yeah, I think by the time the next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting, we would have something before that for you.
Have you revised the plans at all to Old Border Road to,
I will say,
address
to my knowledge, no. As I indicated, Kevin, our engineer, is not here tonight. But since we've met at the meeting, I have not seen anything new. And from the last Plan Commission meeting, other than what was presented in general at that staff level meeting, nothing's been done that I have a copy of. But we can certainly ask Kevin of that when we get back to him.
Now, there are three options for Candy Ave. One is the one you originally came with, which would be 6 additional lots coming in off of Candy. The second option would be to leave it as a dead end. And the third option is to do a cul-de-sac at that, but no additional homes, and leaving the preservation area.
Okay?
Okay? Do you want a poll on what we're thinking?
That would be helpful, yes,
Okay.
if we could find out that information, certainly.
well, I'm more on the page of doing a emergency vehicle turnaround cul-de-sac with no additional properties.
I'm in agreement with that.
I'm in agreement with that as well. I think a turnaround is necessary.
Out of those three options, yeah, that's the best one.
Okay.
So I think we're pretty clear on that.
Okay, and I guess from the engineering standpoint, would that simply be a cul-de-sac? I guess I would not see the extension of Candy Avenue necessarily, but rather a
Correct.
circle in that area provided. Okay.
Now, have you had the tree survey?
We have not had the tree survey completed yet. That's what Mr. Gillian is working on.
Okay. And the one thing that I'm concerned about is because I did go out to the property, the center is pretty much open like a bowl. But I saw a lot of trees, and I'm not a tree surveyor, so I don't know when they talk about girth, how big. But there were really quite a few trees that I would say that should not be taken down.
And our plan for that property, and I know Mr. Galliana has done some work along the perimeters and identified, yes, there are some good trees. And as you know, we talked about with your ordinance, it doesn't identify really what is considered a good tree, what's too large to take down, too small to take down, what actually is the outcome. So the goal would be to say what trees can we keep, but also keeping in mind that with infrastructure, whether it's sewer, roads, sidewalks, things like that, trees that some consider good will necessarily be taken down, but what's to be done from that point? Because the ordinance doesn't say you can't, for example, you cannot take down a maple tree that is X number of inches in diameter. It just really talks about identifying trees, and it doesn't qualify the trees. So our goal was to go out onto the property and look to see what are good trees. And as you have identified, once you enter the property, you realize there's not very much in there. And even the things that might be in there aren't necessarily good just because they're tall and they may be old. So that's our intent, is to look and see what we find actually to be on site.
Just for my information, what is a tree that would be acceptable? Is that a 4-foot circumference or?
Well, that would be a pretty gigantic tree, a 4-foot.
It'd be around.
Or, okay, circumference, yes. So I guess we'll have to make a determination about what is a good tree and what's not. Your ordinance doesn't say, we're not looking to go out there and simply clear cut the site. But at the same time, as I indicated, just because a tree may be located where a road is proposed to be located, your ordinance doesn't direct to redesign the entire site just for that tree. It really talks about identification of trees, and that's what we're planning to do in keeping with the ordinance design of the site. And again, the goal is not to simply cut down trees.
Question to staff and/or legal. Do we need to do a vote to rule on opening the public hearing for the next date certain table?
You can do it that night. Okay. But it will take a vote. Yep. And then, since our rules and procedures are silent on it, it'll just be a regular majority vote.
I'll make a motion to table to date certain of 11/6, so that we have an opportunity to have all the information with the sketch, the Board of Works outcome.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Monroe, could you call roll?
Tom Cherry,
Yes.
John Harrison,
Yes.
Charles Thompson,
Yes.
Melissa Weidenbach,
Yes.
Denise Little,
Yes.
And one last thing, you did request to be on the Board of Works agenda, but you are not currently on that agenda. So
Okay.
It will not be heard tomorrow morning.
Okay, so should I contact then the clerk's office again about
The clerk's
rescheduling that? Okay.
Yes,
I will do that tomorrow,
thank you.
since it appears I'm free at 10:30 in the morning. Okay, and you said November 6th? Was that?
November 6th.
Okay. Okay, are we done?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Monroe, could you call our first order of new business?
yes, SP 0823 Readers Auto Service Center, care of HP Construction Services, 589 Laramie Road, Westville, Indiana, seeking an amendment to site plan SP 0520 to add an entrance drive at Parkview Street for 6436 Central Avenue.
Good evening.
Good evening. So pardon me. So what we'd like to do is.
Could you state your name?
Patrick with HP Construction.
Jake Reeder with Reeder's Auto.
So what we're looking to do is just add a driveway off of Parkview into the rear parking lot. This is already approved, our original parking lot was approved with the previous plan. And we're just looking at little ease of traffic going out, and then the yoga studio that sits right on Central Avenue, she'd like to use that as her overflow so people aren't backing out on Central Avenue.
That completes your presentation. I'll open to questions from the commission. What kind of buffering? I didn't pull your original plans, but what kind of buffering is there between you and the residential behind you?
No, I don't have that plan, and I'm not looking at it now, but I believe we got a row of trees that goes between us and the apartments to the north.
Correct. Yeah, there's going to be a retention area, and then we are talking with the neighbors, thinking doing some arborvitaes or something to dress it up.
Between that drive
Yeah, because the property butts right up to their driveway. It's almost, the driveway's almost the property line. So do something to make it look nice. The parking lot will be, you probably don't remember, it's going to be more employee parking. So it'll be used during the day for employee access, and then in the evenings, the yoga studio, we've been talking with Vicki, just to get her some more parking, would be using it for that, and having a rear entrance into her studio.
Are you going to replace your dead trees on the west side?
Yes, yeah, in the fall when we can plant them. Yeah, they didn't make it this year. We actually had 3 more. I don't know if you've seen the back of the property where we planted 6 or 7. We had 3 of those die last year too. We had to replant, but yeah, they're looking rough.
Any questions? If no questions, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the amendment.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Mr. Monroe, could you call roll?
Tom Cherry,
Yes.
John Harrison,
Yes.
Charles Thompson,
Yes.
Melissa Weidenbach,
Yes.
Denise Little,
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you call our next order of new business?
Yes, S0123 TWAS Properties LLC, care of Cage Engineering Incorporated, 2200 Cabot Drive, Suite 325, Lisle, Illinois, seeking first replat of Lot 2, Grand Point Plaza into 2 lots, Lot 2A and 2B, located at 6580 and 6590 US Highway 6.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Francisco. I'm with Kensington Development, based out of Oak Brook, Illinois.
We'll let him get you set up. Do you have a screen presentation?
Yeah, we have
Okay.
a brochure that we can.
Okay,
share
thank
with
you.
guys, and I have the Google Earth pulled up here for you guys.
I toggled it, yeah.
So like I said, I'm with Kensington. We are the developer on this project. Cage is our civil consultant, but they couldn't make it, but they called me in at the last minute, so I'm here. I'd like to start off with the request for the replat approval. On the screen here, I have the location pulled up. As you can see, our proposed Tidalway Auto Spa is at US Highway and Hollywood Drive. Now pull up the proposed plat. So this is an existing lot that we want to subdivide into 2 lots, 2A and 2B. We plan to use the one on the left for the purposes of an express tunnel car wash facility. I think this is the second round that we're submitting. You guys had comments, I believe, on this one, and we've addressed them. We sent them to Gina earlier today, so I'm here to seek approval for this plat of subdivision.
So you're requesting, for this order of business, your first replat of the two lots?
It would be our first replat, correct?
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll open to questions from the commission.
It appears that there's a couple unresolved corrections, one to the deed of dedication. Has that been addressed in that latest copy that was submitted?
That was addressed, that was sent earlier. I don't think that Dina has had a chance to review that. But both of those outstanding items were addressed.
So if anything was received after the packet went out to the Plan Commission members, those matters have not been addressed, and we would ask that, per the staff report, you would make your recommendation for approval based on those two comments.
One was adding a sidewalk easement here on the west side of Lot 2A, the proposed Lot 2A. As you can see, we've added this. We also modified the language to the deed of dedication. The comments were very minor. I think I have it here.
Mr. Monroe, did you have an opportunity to check that, or
I have
that's a
not, and
contingency?
I have not, and that's why I asked that they
Okay.
still remain contingencies.
Okay.
It appears that there's some ambiguity of how that sidewalk easement ends. If you scroll out, you have it labeled as, I guess,
30-foot wide drainage, utility, and sidewalk easement.
does that wrap all the way around onto American Way as well? Or is?
I believe it's only on the west side.
So there's not a real clear delineation of where the sidewalk easement ends and the utility continues.
Okay, we can modify this to make it more clear.
Done. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve, contingent upon the acceptance of the corrections to the plat regarding language and deed of dedication area and acceptance of sidewalk easements shown on plat.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Monroe, could you call roll?
Tom Sherry,
Yes.
John Harrison,
Yes.
Charles Thompson,
Yes.
Melissa Weidenbach,
Yes.
Denise Little,
Yes. Could you call our next order of new business?
SP 0723 TWAS Properties LLC, care of Cage Engineering, Inc., 2200 Cabot Drive, Suite 325, Lyle, Illinois, seeking site plan approval to construct a 3,240 square foot tidal wave auto spa car wash at 6580 US Highway 6.
So what I have pulled up here in front of you is the proposed site plan. This is a 147-foot tonneau car wash. It features 16 canopy vacuum stalls and 16 traditional boom vac stalls. It also has an enclosed vac room with the compressors in it and a pay kiosk. The bottom right It's got a reclaim tank system, which recycles about 30 to 40% of the water that's consumed. In front of you, you can see what a prototypical car wash from Titlewood looks like. It features masonry, stone brick, masonry veneer, metal roof. The facade is composed of a storefront system and overhead doors. These are prototypical building elevations of the building. This is another shot of the typical car wash. Top right, you can see the conveyor system. The left side, you can see the pay kiosk. And bottom right, this would be the entrance to the tunnel car wash. This is a good view of the landscape. Tidal Wave, they're big on maintaining a clean site. They invest in their car washes. They started back in 1999 with a self-service car wash, and now they have 100 locations. They have 100 more under construction currently. This is another car wash with a different type of building. Depending on the site and its restrictions, this can be modified. One thing that sets Tidal Wave apart is that they give back to the community. They are very involved with a lot of different fundraising. They partner with schools, churches, civic groups, sports teams, etc. Something cool that they do every year is the third Friday of every September, they donate 100% of the proceeds from all washes across the nation. And that concludes my presentation on Tidal Wave.
Thank you. I'll open to questions from the commission.
So really, the only difference is the pictures you have has that top turret, or whatever you would call that, on the top. That's not there anymore, correct?
Go back. What slide is that?
Yeah, that one. Up, go back.
Go back one.
Yeah, that top turret, that's gone, right?
That's no longer there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
How many jobs will this open in Portage?
About 15 jobs per car wash, assuming no one, quits or is terminated. But yeah, 15 full-time employees.
We still need a landscaping plan.
That was submitted today as well.
Okay,
it was.
so it would be contingent on acceptance of that landscaping plan.
Okay.
No more questions? I'll make a motion to approve with contingent upon the acceptance of the landscaping plan for the base of the monument sign.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Monroe, could you call roll?
Tom Cherry,
Yes.
John Harrison,
Yes.
Charles Thompson,
Yes.
Melissa Weidenbach,
Yes.
Denise Little.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
No old business? If not, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.